We are moving on to the AAPS Equity Plan update and next steps. Dr. Swift.
Thank you, Madam President and trustees. It's our honor to bring a fall update on the work that's been ongoing with our equity work. There are really two parts to what we'll talk about this evening. The first is really about our focus for this year. I think the trustees are very well aware that we are now in our third year of system-wide equity development for all members of our staff. That was a breakthrough 3 years ago. I do understand, as some trustees have noted, that there was a trade-off there because some of that has been by Zoom. But we have been now in our third year of all staff, all of us learning and working and developing our individual team and organizational capacity to implement equity practices. Now, during this year, as you've heard earlier in the fall, trustees, and what you have is really a set of notes. There is no fancy slide deck. We're just doing a very very much just an authentic update. But we've been using this focus of belonging through a culture of dignity. And this has been our focus for this year. Carrying out that focus on dignity, our teachers and all staff team, including our administrators and leaders, have been working from the Cornelius Minor work, which is called We Got This. And that is really about learning to listen to students and getting to know students by name, by strength, by culture, by story, by need. And once we know students, then constructing our instruction, our teaching and learning to accommodate and to embrace and celebrate who our students are. So these have been our focus pieces for this year. Trustees, I've included just an overview of the leadership learning sessions. I've been delighted to be in, for our August meeting, we were in person with about 130 teachers and leaders and administrators working on setting out the culture of dignity. Some of these October and November meetings have been a combination of in-person and some remote, some virtual. Our session with Cornelius Minor, the author of this book in August, was by Zoom. He is a middle school teacher in the Bronx and did a beautiful session. We had over 2,000 people in that session, and we have heard throughout this fall just really strong and positive feedback. As you all know, we deliver surveys after every session, and we've heard strong and positive feedback from this learning this year. So I've included kind of the description of the sessions. You can see the all staff group there at the top of page 3 is just a little roadmap of all of the sessions coming up. And we're looking forward May 2nd. And trustees, we'll make sure that you all are invited to that. But really an equity expo where we hear from promising practices and great work that's going on among our teachers and staff. So that is just a little bit of an overview of our focus this year on creating a culture of equity so that everyone in the organization has a sense of belonging. I want to get over to the graphic. Trustees, you may see this on classroom walls. You may see it on our doors as you enter. It is on our lanyards. But these are really all of the parts of this model of ensuring a culture of dignity. So just like I appreciated our public commentary this evening, just like our speakers shared, though, one of the frustrations for all of us has been that the level of community engagement we really wanted to have in order to ensure that a plan we bring to the board is a product of wide and deep groups, that simply has been a challenge. during a COVID time when our teachers and our principal building leaders and our parents are really stretched to be able to engage. So what we've done is to sit down and really create a moving forward calendar. And you will notice, because we all want a written plan that has been widely worked through our community. I absolutely agree with our commenters this evening. So we've laid out a January through June that says 2022. Ms. Osensky will fix that after this meeting to say 2023, excuse me. But we will use a process, trustees, not dissimilar from the one we've just used on our climate and culture, our sustainability process, although this one will be much wider in scope. So we wanted to plan in January, February to share a summary of the kind of inside work that's been going on in professional development. There has not really been work going on this past year or this past few months on developing the plan. We really have been working from the inside out on developing our organizational capacity around the practices of equity. So what we'd like to do is to bring forward in February for community conversations, and also making sure that our groups in the AAPS already have folks volunteering to help us to get to all of our community centers, Peace and Can and Arrowwood and all of the locations, because we want to make sure that this community input and feedback has all voices heard. We are going to convene, as we've talked about, both a student and a parent and community advisory group. We will ask for a representative from each of the board-approved parent groups. And then trustees, as we've discussed, we will fill in with representatives from the community centers and from some community organizations as well. We want to take care that that group not get too large, as the trustees have discussed, because we want it to be a meaningful and workable group that can weigh in and help us with getting a plan written down. We want to put these work groups into a process of developing the areas that our community tells us they would like to see on a plan. So folks will be able to apply if they would like to be a part of a work group. They may be attracted to the student, parent, and family empowerment focus area, or they may be attracted to the shifting of teaching and learning practice, or they may be attracted to the area that's about systems and ensuring that our systems, you heard those remarks from some of our commenters this evening, our systems need to have a look. So folks will be working in those work groups February, March, and April. Just like with our environmental advisory group, was chatting with some of you recently, we would appreciate having board liaison to those groups if the trustees would like to see one or two trustees, just like we've done with environmental sustainability. They're there to witness the work, and the advisory group carries on the work. By May, we want to bring this work back to our community and do another deep engagement process in school, community conversations, in conversations out at our community centers. And then we will also use the tech engagement, because many of our parents, that is the way that they're able to share their opinions. In June 2023, our hope is to bring, as we're bringing tonight, the environmental plan, but to bring a strategic plan for the Ann Arbor Public Schools that really is about our approach to equity. Some other highlights of next steps, if you'll scroll up just a little bit, designating equity leaders in all of our schools. We are working that process now. Those folks will volunteer and step up, and certainly we will support them. They won't be taking on that responsibility for nothing. We will work with folks to support them, but they will receive extra training. They will develop, and they will be the liaison for their school team. We do have equity teams active in, I believe, most all of our schools, but we're asking our principal leaders if during COVID, if those things have been, have had lapses in them. We want all of our teams back up and active beginning in the spring semester in January. We are looking at a district team member. Trustees, we're not looking at that until later in the spring. That really is a 22-23. As you could see from the budget, we are needing to be mindful. So that will be as we move through the spring. And then finally, as we've had on our list, that person, that leader will help us with clarifying and defining and educating the organization on a process district-wide for ensuring that all equity concerns are addressed as they emerge, and that our parents, our students, and our staff feel supported. So trustees, this is a fall update. It is not a big presentation, just really a set of notes that talks about where we are in our organizational development and where we're thinking we want to set our goals and our benchmarks for January through June to really get our equity plan developed and in place. So I'm very pleased to receive questions, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Dr. Swift.